Bitch, I never had the bag. I ain't taking shit back. Bitch, I said what I said. I was down bad, and they left your boy for dead. She said, girl, that fat nigga keep a loaf of bread.
Appreciate
For
you
sure.
supporting this. And, without further ado, we can get started. So, as you can see, we're joined by my co founder, Dr. Alexis Ferguson.
Everyone.
Um, so,
Yeah, let's do it.
yeah, you ready to get started? All right, man. So, welcome everybody. So, this is Psych Me Out, and we're going to be having a mental health talk with rapper G Herbo. So, a little bit about for those that may not know G Herbo on the live. He's a rapper born and raised in Chicago. He's known for his raw lyrics and storytelling. He gained fame with his mixtapes like 23 and studio albums like PTSD and 25, chartered on the Billboard 200 with over 5 million monthly listeners on Spotify and collabs with artists like Nicki, Lil Uzi. G Herbo is a strong advocate for mental health and community support. So I'm really glad and honored that you're here with us, man, and we're just happy to get started. Yeah, and shout out to Phase on Land. That was fire too. That was fire too.
Appreciate it. Good looking, buddy.
so, so honestly, like most people know you as a rapper, but we're connecting with you from a non-profit perspective. So for those that don't know, why don't you tell us about your organization, Swerving Through Stress?
Man, Swerving Through Stress was something I started back in 2018, I believe, almost 2019. And it was really, I did it because that was around the time that I started to like get into really mental health and started to do therapy myself. And I launched it while I was going to give like free therapy for 150 kids like in need, and like kids who might have been suffering from anxiety, contemplating suicide, victims of gun violence and stuff like that. And I was going to provide like a free therapy session for 150 kids, and I launched it on my Instagram, and literally like probably the first few hours, I think I had like over 1,000 kids sign up. I think it was probably anywhere from like 1,000 to like 5,000 kids that signed up, and that's when I knew like it was something that was like like needed in the community. So after that, I started to like get more into it because I was learning about mental health myself, doing therapy, and I started to like get more in the community and talk to kids about what they actually were suffering from. And it's so destigmatized in the community, where as it's normal, people get shot, people witness murders, people you know endure so much trauma, and then the next day it's like it never happened. They go back to school, they gotta go to basketball practice, and they expect them to like function on a normal level. You know what I'm saying? And people never really get treated for what we feeling, and that's what made me really like dive into it. And it was more important to me than really, what I'm saying, the music at the time, because I felt so, what I'm saying, connected. I felt connected to those children because I got shot when I was 16 years old. I seen my first murder when I was 9 years old, man. And I was I thought I was normal in a sense because everybody around me was feeling the same way. Everybody around me was experiencing the same thing. And once, I actually use my resources and put a spotlight on it of what was going on. And a lot of people started to, like get connected in a way, like to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, and that's for real. Having your album titled like PTSD, that makes sense, right? Like you really witnessed and experienced a lot even at a young age. So I'm really glad that you were able to find an outlet not only just through music, but through this nonprofit to really give back to your community.
Right. Yeah. See, like music, like that was like my first form of therapy. Like I used to go to the studio and just really rap about what I was feeling. And like I just said this a couple days ago, it would almost seem as if like artists like myself and other artists coming up from like similar backgrounds and you know urban communities, it would almost seem like we were glorifying it, you know what I'm saying? But we really were just like talking about our experiences, and from a standpoint of trying to, let people know what was going on. And when I started to like rap and get serious about, you know what I'm saying, rapping and making music, I didn't, I really didn't, I didn't think as far as me actually, touching so many people, like touching millions of people across the world. I wasn't, I'm not gonna lie, when I started rapping, I really didn't think it was gonna get this big. I was really just doing it because it was my passion at the time, you know what I'm saying? And I never wanted it to seem like I was glorifying like negativity or glorifying violence, but that was all I seen, it was all I knew, and it was all I really experienced growing up, you know what I'm saying? So and like I said, that was like my first outlet. That was my first way of really venting and getting it out. I think if I didn't start rapping, I would have had a bunch of bottled up emotions and bottled up anger inside me that I really, I didn't know that it was just building up. It was a way for me to like channel into my emotions. You know what I'm saying? If it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's dope that you were able to afford like therapy for so many people. Like that's one big barrier that I feel like in the Black community we have. Like we don't know what's out there and it's also expensive to go to therapy.
Yeah.
Um, so it seems like, you really feel tied to like helping the youth understand mental health. For you, like how old were you when you first realized like what I'm experiencing isn't normal or like maybe I do need to go talk to someone?
Right. And I said this again like recently. I didn't like it wasn't my idea, I'm not gonna lie. It wasn't my idea to like start going to therapy. I was stuck in Chicago and I think that was 2019, almost 2020 or something like that. I was fighting a case while I got arrested for carrying a gun in Chicago. And I'm an open book, I'm not gonna lie. I was just talking to my lawyer and just telling him like I've been feeling this way since I was a kid. Like since I was 15 years old, I never really felt safe like leaving out of my house without a gun on me, and at the time I couldn't afford to have like 24-hour security like I do now, you know what I'm saying? So it's like I wasn't leaving out the house looking to go and hurt somebody or go and commit a crime, but I was trying to ensure my safety to make sure that I was making it back home to my family. And he told me like, man, I think you should go, talk to somebody, talk to a professional. And I did, and it was something that I actually, I ain't gonna say I enjoyed it, but I needed it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, and I feel like so many people look up to you for so many reasons. And I'm sure like now being a dad, you also have kids that are looking up to you. So like how has being a parent kind of shaped your mental health or changed it in some way?
Um, I mean, for me, being a parent is like the most unselfish, purest form of just, you know what I'm saying, love. So it's not about me anymore. You know what I'm saying? I'm always thinking about the best interest of my kids. I'm always thinking about making it home to my kids, ensuring my kids' safety, ensuring my safety to make sure that I'm always in their life, and and making sure that I'm in the best space, like you know what I'm saying, like you said, the best space mentally, so I'm able to be the best version of myself and be the best father. And I try not to hold on to too much. I try to like release as much, the energy I absorb around me on a day-to-day basis so I
For
could
sure.
only pour positivity like into my kids.
Nah.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely hard with like being a parent, everything going on in social media, being in the music industry,
Right.
like, protecting your peace, I feel like is extremely, extremely difficult, especially as you get older.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like you can't it's not a a coincidence, like I don't believe in coincidences. Like what I mean is like the way we feel and the things that we experience is for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a reason why you feeling that way. So people have to always be like in tune with their emotions. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times people ignore what they feeling and then you go on months and years and you never really like get a lot of that off your plate, you know what I'm saying? And it take a
Yeah.
toll on you. So I try to just, just be aware of what I'm feeling as much as possible so I could just, feel better, basically.
Yeah.
And like, speaking of just being a parent, right? You wear many hats and including, being a parent. So America's Safe School Week is from October 20th to the 26th. And, that week focuses on creating safe environments in school buildings. So given how much time that your kids spend in school, what are some ways that school has or has not been safe for you?
Um, School wasn't really safe for me at all. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, that was one of the reasons why I dropped out of school.
Mm,
And my mom, like literally, my mom came to my school and spoke with my dean. And I was doing music at the time, of course, but it wasn't a guarantee that I was gonna be who I am today. You know what I'm saying? Like my dean told my mom, like, he got potential. I think you should just really let him focus on, being an artist because coming here every day really not going to be beneficial to him. I think if he got something, if he got something good, just let him chase his dreams because people were like dying in my school every other week, like
yeah,
literally in my high school in um the dean's office. So for instance, say if you come to school late and they wouldn't let you go until like your first or second period, you would have to like go into the dean's office until the bell ring, then go to your next period when everyone in the hall, like everyone in the school are like roaming the hallways. So in the room that you were waiting in with the dean, it was a wall, and like how you take your ID picture, and it was full of people who died in our school, and it was from literally to fill the whole wall up. So people in my school were dying every other day, like every other week. Like it was never really safe to go to school. People got shot at my school like the first week, like freshman orientation. Like people were getting shot in front of the school, people getting shot on the way home from school, on the bus stop. So it was never safe at all. Like, and I was experiencing that from my very first day of high school, and I was experiencing people dying when I in junior high school, like my 8th grade year, 7th grade year. I personally had friends that had already died and they had already been shot, so it was never safe. And that's just the reality of growing up where I come from. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, like PTSD, everybody knows PTSD is real. It could have been a point where I didn't want to go to school. I was scared to go to school because I'm afraid of what's going to happen. A lot of people felt like that, and it was normal. Like it's not. People don't have the resources to just be homeschooled. People don't have the resources to just not go to school. People don't have the resources that other people have in a lot of these, you know, nicer areas or rich areas, or what I'm saying, for lack of a better term. I come from a poverty stricken neighborhood. I come from an urban, ghetto, violent, rural community, you know what I'm saying? So people dying left and right where I come from, and it's normal, and people still wanna chase their dreams. People still want to be athletes. People still want to go to college. People still want to do a lot of things where it's like you got to put yourself in the line of fire just to succeed. You know what I'm saying? And we don't have no resources. We don't have nobody trying to really help us, overcome any of this stuff. So the way I came up, it was tough, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm blessed to
I,
be able to just
I believe it, man. And like, just growing up where you were growing up, dealing with dealing with and also witnessing so many traumatic events, dealing with grief and loss, battling, anger, depression, it's a lot. So I guess from your perspective, how do you think schools can do a better job strengthening mental health, within families and like for future students?
I think you just have to like acknowledge the problem, acknowledge what's
Mm,
going on. You can't ignore it. It's simple. It's not really nothing too complex when it comes to that. You have to acknowledge what's going on. You have to acknowledge that these kids are experiencing these kind of things. You can't just expect a kid who's experiencing so much trauma, who's situation when they leave out of school is so tough, and you can't expect them to just focus solely on schoolwork the next day if you're not really digging deeper into their personal life or their personal situation. You got to get to know these students. You have to provide free therapy in the classrooms. You have to provide a lot of after school programs that are free,
mm,
like that kids shouldn't have to pay for because a lot of them can't even afford it.
I love that idea. I mean, I used to work in a school, and even just like getting help with like extra math tutoring, like, is a stretch
Right.
to ask the district to do that. So like, especially when you're growing up in a place where people are waking up 7 a.m. and they're like angry and fighting,
Yeah,
like their bodies are gonna take a toll on them. Like being able to have a therapy like space or like a teacher that you can like kind of run to, I feel like a lot of people kind of take that for granted if they have like a more privileged background.
exactly, exactly. And it's like a lot of these teachers, when the bell ring and school's out, they want to go home and go do what they doing, and go on about their life. Like they not providing the extracurricular activities for the students. They not providing free therapy. They not providing anything extra other than being in class from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. You know, so it's like once the bell ring and you on the way home, you on your own pretty much.
Mhm. So I know you had said for you, like music has been one of your outlets. Like for other kids who come from like inner cities or like, poverty areas, what are other ways that you feel like maybe schools can do a little bit better? Do you think like music therapy or something like that should be incorporated in the curriculum? Like I love English, I love science, but also we need to figure out other ways to like talk about what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good idea. And another thing is just, giving these kids some type of inspiration or motivation, you know what I'm saying? Where they actually wanna put in the extra work to, you know, be something other than what they see on the normal. Like for example, like when I was growing up, nobody that I actually really looked up to or nobody that I wanted to be like ever came to my neighborhood, ever came to my school. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm.
I didn't have no G Herbos to look up to when I was in high school or in grammar school. So a lot of times these kids need to be able to see and visualize so they could set goals for themselves and know that it's possible. You know what I'm saying? Like if you don't really see somebody who's successful on a day excuse me, on a day-to-day basis, like if you don't see nobody who, you know what I'm saying, out of the norm, you really not gonna think it's possible, or you're really not gonna think that it's possible for you at least, you know what I'm saying? So people need to be able to see, you know, artists and athletes and entrepreneurs that they look up to and they want to be like and actually have conversations with them and actually get understanding and knowledge of what they had to do and the steps that people like myself took to get where they are, you know what I'm saying? And I think if it's non-existent in their brain, they don't think that it's possible for them to make it. All they seeing is what's in front of them, so they don't think that, of course, like it's a difference between having a conversation with somebody like myself and seeing me on Instagram every day. It's like it's just like out of sight, out of mind, pretty much.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people want to have role models, but sometimes it feels like you're saying like they're so far away. Like, unless you're going to like an NBA game or you're going to a
Right.
concert, like it's like you're just a random person. But like when you're
Exactly.
here, like to be able to see it, like it makes it a little bit like stronger.
Yeah, yeah, and it's complete difference. Like seeing me at a concert is one thing, but actually having a conversation with me in the classroom is totally different. Or being able to have a conversation like how we having right now, and getting insight, and it's like, oh, he's human just like me. You know what I'm saying? It's a difference.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and just speaking of the music that you mentioned, right? You recently just dropped a new album, Big Swerve. So congrats on that, by the
Thank
way. Um,
you.
Make sure folks download and stream his newest projects on all major platforms. And you mind sharing like how has creating music has been therapeutic for you? Remember from my last conversation, there's therapeutic and therapy, right?
Yeah.
So like music is more so therapeutic for you. So how has that been a therapeutic process and experience for you?
Because it's like it's like I'm actually like manifesting and seeing things play out. And a lot of times when I was growing up, I always had imagination. Like I always had a big imagination. And a lot of my friends and people who know me personally can contest to this. Like I've literally manifested my entire life. So that's how music is really therapeutic for me because like although I may be doing something right now, I speak it into existence. I speak into my future, you know what I'm saying? And I manifest my life and where I want to go. Like I manifest my goals through music and it gives me like kind of like a sense of power in a way, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm able to speak about where I am mentally at a time, how I feel, and I'm speaking about where I want to go. Like, so it's like I could create my own world through music. I could talk about my past. Of course, you can't change your past, but you could dictate your future. So it's like I'm doing all of these things all in one just by speaking, you know what I'm saying, speaking my thoughts out loud, and giving inspiration not only for myself so I can listen to what I'm saying and know that it's out there for me and it's possible, but I'm doing that for the rest of the world as well. And when I hear from my fans, when I hear from people that I encounter on a day-to-day basis, they pretty much tell me the same thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not only helping myself because I am, and I'm helping them. I'm helping millions of other people, and and it's literally, I'm not even kidding right now. Like, I've literally manifested everything that I'm doing right now 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Because once I speak it and I know what I want to do, I actually take the steps that's necessary to get there. You know what I'm saying? So music is my own form of therapy, but it's also a form of therapy for so many other people. And and once I like take the time to like forget about me being busy and working and things that I do on a day-to-day basis. When I take the time to actually look back and analyze where I am in life, it gives me enough, motivation to just keep going and never stop, no matter where I am, or how difficult it may be, or how difficult it may seem, because everybody gonna always have their hardships and adversities, you know what I'm saying? Everybody gonna go through things in life. But once you just take a step back and just be grateful for what you do have, it's a lot easier to just keep like striving. And
Nah,
Yeah.
that's what I do through music.
yeah, real talk. Like, it seems like through music, you're able to empower not just yourself, but other people. You're able to, share your experience. You're able
Yeah,
to express your emotions, right? Because at the end of the day, just as black men, it's not as normalized to express how you feel, right? So you're expressing your pain, you're expressing your sadness, you're expressing your anger, you're expressing your hunger, you're expressing, your joys, right? Now it's not all
yeah,
just sad stuff. You're expressing
for
your joy,
sure,
you're expressing your passions, you're expressing, things that motivate you, right? So, and on top of that, saying how you are manifesting, it seems like you also incorporate affirmations, and that's what we kind of call, like, in the psychology word, right? Like
for
self
sure,
things that you tell yourself, to empower yourself so you can get what you chasing after. So all that stuff is stuff that is talked about in therapy, and I'm glad that you're able to find that outlet through music to share that experience and empower other folks. So respect
yeah.
for real.
Hmm.
Yeah, man. And you know, uh, and another thing that always got me through it is like I always say this to myself, like it could be worse. Like I know everything that I'm feeling and everything that I'm going through, somebody is like experiencing it 10 times worse, and they able to smile through it. They able to be grateful. You know what I'm saying? And that's what like keep me going, because I know it could always be worse, and I know that it's somebody who has much less than me, or somebody who's experienced life on a way like tougher scale than what I've experienced, and they still going, what I'm saying, they still pushing through it. So once I think like that, it's always easier for me to just get up and do what I need to do.